Okay, here we go. Am I here? I'm trying to make sure I'm live. I'm doing this multi-streaming thing, so I have to make sure I'm live before I do anything, especially since I don't see my chat. Okay, we're here on TikTok. I see we're on TikTok. Are we on the other place? I'm trying to see. Then I'm going to jump in. I got 2 hours to pour through some info. Now, let me see something. Oh, wait a minute. No, I'm logged in. Let me log out. Okay. See, I'm here on the doggone. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Okay, forget it. I am. Darn it, this happens every time. I am live. Okay, never mind. All right. I am live. Good. That was good to know before I wasted all that darn time. Well, forget it. Let's get this party started. I'm here on Job, the Book of Employment, as they call it. I'm actually doing this by special request, so hopefully the person who requested it is in here so we can talk about it. Let me just pull up my logos right now. Where are you at, logos? There you are. Let's start at the beginning. So I wanted to talk about Job because I mentioned in a live stream the other day that let me skip that. I mentioned in a live stream the other day that people love to bring up Job whenever they want to talk about how horrible and terrible God is. And I said that they really hate Job. They hate Job so much because they don't understand it. Because if they did understand it, they would hate it more. Because Job kind of flies in the face of everything that people want God to be, which is like their lapdog, basically. But while reading this book, I discovered something really interesting, and that is that Job is wisdom literature. At least it kind of falls into the category of wisdom literature, as they say. Along with it's in the subsection of wisdom literature in the Bible with Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon. They're all broadly I said Ecclesiastes. They're all broadly defined as books of wisdom. But the thing about Job is it looks at conventional wisdom and says, sometimes this stuff doesn't help. Sometimes this stuff sucks. And what's really interesting to me about that is, as somebody who does apologetics, I'm still hesitant to call myself an apologist, but there are some things in this book that kind of make you feel crappy as an apologist. But I don't want to spoil anything. I actually just want to get into it and start reading this book, and we can talk about it. But Job is super, super fascinating, especially when you're not trying to defend the book from attacks. So I'm reading the ESV, by the way. So let me just get started. So there was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job. And that man was blameless and upright, one who feared God and turned away from evil. There was born to him 7 sons and 3 daughters. He possessed 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 male donkeys, and very many male servants, so that this man was the greatest of all people of the East. So he was loaded. His sons used to go and hold a feast in the house of each one on his day, and they would send and invite their 3 sisters and eat and drink with them. And when the days of the feast had run their course, Job would send and consecrate them, and he would rise early in the morning and offer burnt offerings to the number of them all. For Job said, "It may be that my children have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." Thus Job did continually. So he did this all the time. So you're actually seeing right at the beginning that Job wasn't taking any chances with his being blameless and righteous, not righteousness, being blameless and righteous. Not only was he like an upstanding guy, he even made sure he was sacrificing for his children just in case they did something wrong, because Job really, really, really didn't want to piss God off, because he knew that everything he had was because of God. And he kind of had this idea as well that his friends are going to share later, that basically if you sin, or if your children sin, if there is sin in your life, it's going to make God really mad, and he's going to do horrible things to you. And Job didn't want that to happen. That's why he says later on that the thing that he feared the most has come upon him. Because even though he was holy and righteous and doing everything right, he still ended up losing everything. And this is what he was afraid of. So he was sacrificing for his kids and everything, but Job was good. Now we get into the fun part. And by fun, I mean incredibly freaking depressing. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord. And of course, when you see Lord in all caps like that, it's Yahweh. And Satan also came among them. Now, before we even get into that, let's talk about Satan, because I'm sure I already know what this note right here is. Oh, no, hold on. Oh, it doesn't say. Okay, so here's the thing about Satan. And I'm hoping this isn't too hot of a take. I know my audience seems to be pretty biblically savvy, so it shouldn't be that hot of a take. But Satan here should actually have a definite article before it. It does in the Hebrew. It's not the proper name Satan. It's the Satan, as in a job description, basically. And of course, Satan, it can mean adversary or accuser. In this case, accuser is probably the better description, because he's almost doing the job of, say, a prosecutor. Like, he's looking around. Let's keep reading real quick. Because the Lord said to Satan, "From where have you come?" Satan answered, and the Lord said, Satan answered the Lord and said, "From going to and fro on the earth, and from walking up and down on it." And the Lord said, "Have you considered my servant Job?" So why was Satan walking to and fro on the earth? Well, he's the accuser. So he was looking for somebody to accuse. He's like a dirty cop looking around just to see, just trying to find a crime happening so he could accuse somebody, and so he could make something happen. In a way, he was just doing his job. He was the accuser. And here's the nuclear take. Well, it's not nuclear, but it's probably hotter than normal. The Satan in Job may not necessarily be the devil, as we say, or Lucifer, the fallen angel. Because Satan, again, in this, even though it's capitalized in the English, they didn't have capital letters in Hebrew. And it's the Satan. Again, it has that definite article for it. So the Satan is just the angel that's doing this job. So is it the devil? Is it just another Satan? We don't know. We do say that, like, oh, it was God and the devil making a bet. Not necessarily. But what we do know is that this is an adversary. He is going to challenge God. So he's certainly playing the role of accuser no matter what. Because he says he's going to and fro on the earth, walking down of it. And the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? That there is none like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man who fears God and turns away from evil." Then Satan answered the Lord and said, "Does Job fear God for no reason? Have you not put a hedge around him and his house and all that he has on every side? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land. But stretch out your hand, touch all that he has, and he will curse you to your face." So, what's happening here? He's looking for somebody to accuse. God says, "I got just the guy, my servant Job." Now, Job, that's my dude. He's perfect. He's blameless. You try to accuse him, you're not going to find nothing. Satan says, "Okay, But the only reason for that is because you've been taking care of him. You've given him this cushy life. I bet you if he didn't have all that stuff, he would curse you to your face. Basically, he's only obedient to you because he's afraid of losing all his stuff. Now, Satan's not correct. Well, he's not totally correct. Satan's not correct in that if he takes everything away, Job will curse him to his face, as we will see. But in a way, I don't want to give the devil too much credit. We already do that enough. But in a way, I just called him the devil. See, that's that programming. But in a way, he's still right in the sense. I don't think I can bring you on. I'm multi-streaming right now, and I don't know how I could. I don't really have a way of doing that. Sorry. Thanks. Love the shirt. Thanks. I usually wear this shirt when I'm playing the atheist version of myself. Oh, Eliu. Okay. Well, we're still at the very, very beginning of the book, so I do kind of want to save that for later. If you would like to, I know you probably want to talk about it live, but if you want to DM me about it, you can. But I don't really have a way of bringing you on right now because I'm actually using OBS. I'm not like on TikTok right now, so there's probably a way I can do it on here, but if it is, I don't know how. Oh, that would be sweet. That's a good idea. Get a reverse flash shirt. I'm gonna do that. I need to start doing those. Am I live on Twitch? I'm on YouTube. I am on YouTube. I haven't set up a Twitch yet. I might, but Twitch also is. They really like terrorism over there, so I'm not sure if I want to go on Twitch just yet. I want to see how the live goes on YouTube first. But oh, thanks for subscribing on the YouTube, King Arthur. Appreciate that. Anyway, I lost track of thought. What was I talking about? Oh yeah. Satan was kind of right in that Job was acting that way because he was afraid that God would take away all of his wealth and stuff. And it wasn't that, Job thought, well, yeah, it was. Job pretty much thought that it depended on his righteousness, all the stuff that he had. So anyway, he's like, yeah, he's a blameless and upright man. He only fears you because of that. So stretch out your hand, touch all that he has, and he will curse you to your face. And the Lord said to Satan, behold, all that he has is in your hand. Only against him do not stretch out your hand. Only against him do not stretch out your hand. So you can mess with all his stuff, just don't do anything to him. So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. So what happens next? Now there was a day when his sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house, and there came a messenger to Job, and he said, the oxen were plowing and the donkeys were feeding beside him. Doggone it, I lost my spot. The oxen were plowing, the donkeys were feeding beside them, and the Sabeans came and fell upon and took them and struck down the servants with the edge of the sword, killed everybody. And I alone have escaped to tell you, everybody but him. While he was yet speaking, there came another, said, the fire of God fell from heaven and burned up the sheep, and the servants consumed them. And I alone have escaped to tell you. While he was yet speaking, there came another. This is a bad day for Job. The Chaldeans formed 3 groups and made a raid on the camels and took them and struck down the servants with the edge of the sword. And I alone have escaped to tell you. And while he was yet speaking, he hadn't even finished talking yet. Doggone it. Hold on. While he was yet speaking, there came another and said, your sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their brother's house. And behold, a great wind came across the wilderness and struck the 4 corners of the house and fell upon the young people, and they are dead. And I alone have escaped to tell you. And then Job arose and tore his robe and shaved his head and fell upon the ground and worshipped. And he said, naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I shall return. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And all this Job, and in all this, Job did not sin or charge God with wrong. So Job just had a really, 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 really freaking bad day. And his response, the Lord gives and the Lord takes away. So he's acknowledging that everything that he has is from God. And you haven't missed much, Chuck. You've only missed like the intro where Satan came to talk to God, and I talked about how Satan is the Satan, not necessarily the devil as we know him, even though it could be, but it's not necessarily. Like, basically the Satan is a title more so than a name. I like to joke that the devil, like, we give the devil so much credit, but he's so insignificant that he doesn't really have a name when you think about it. Satan is a title, Lucifer is a title, the devil is a title, the evil one is a title. We don't really give him an actual name. I think that's funny. But yeah. So that's what happened. And Job's whole family just died. I guess you might have missed that part. But yes, so he's lost everything. He's lost all of his physical possessions, but he knows that he didn't get them by his own power. He knows that everything he has is in God's hands. So losing it, it's not more of an easy come, easy go situation, but it's in, what can you do? Probably not the way he took it. But that's not really the point. The point is, because the big part is going to come in when it actually just starts attacking his body, which is what happens in chapter 2. So again, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves to the Lord. By the way, God wins round 1. As a matter of fact, let me talk about that, because this is something I hear all the time. I think it's something we all hear all the time, that God did all this to Job because he had a bet with Satan here. This is not a bet. A bet is, hey, I bet you if you take everything away, then he's going to curse you. And God's like, okay, Satan, you're on. That's not how it happens. Remember, Satan is the accuser. He's playing the role of prosecutor here. So as harsh as it seems, God's not trying to win a bet against Satan. What God is doing is vindicating Job. He's being accused basically sort of a crime. And God is doing this to vindicate him, because what Satan is doing is charging him with evil. Like, he's really evil in his heart. He's not actually righteous. And God is like, no, I'm going to vindicate Job. So do what you have to do, and I'm going to show that he actually is blameless and he actually is innocent. So this is not God settling a bet with him between the two of them. It is Job being accused of something and God vindicating him, which makes the last few chapters of this book a little bit more powerful when you know what God was actually doing. Because one thing we have to remember is that Job didn't read Job chapter 1. He doesn't know any of this that's happening right now. All he knows is that he had a really, really bad day. And he's about to have another one. Hold on. So again, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came among them to present himself before the Lord. And the Lord said to Satan, it's worth considering that Satan is accusing God of some things too. Yeah, he is. Satan is basically accusing God of being naive. Like, oh, you think that he's righteous, but it's really just because you're taking care of him. He's like, I know better than you. And that is actually a theme that runs throughout this book. I'm glad you actually brought that up, is this whole thing about wisdom. Satan thinks he knows better than God. Job's friends think they know better than Job. Job thinks he knows better than God at one point. I don't know if we're going to get there. I don't care. I hope you care a little bit. Job thinks he knows better than God. Or not knows better. Yeah, Job thinks he knows better than God at one point, when he starts getting a little more unhinged later on in the book. I guess I think I know better too. Maybe you do. A lot of people think they know better than God. I think I know better than God sometimes. I've never been proven right, But I think that's part of the human condition. We all want to believe we know something when we don't really know squat, which is kind of, again, the theme of Job. Y'all are kind of getting into my notes. I don't like it. Where was I? Oh, he said, they went to present themselves for the Lord. Lord said to Satan, from where have you come? It's like, God, you know where he was. He's always doing the same thing. Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro on the earth, from walking up and down on it. The Lord said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job? So God wanted to double down. He said, hey, remember when you were accusing me and I said, consider Job, and you were talking mess and you said he would curse me and he didn't? So have you considered Job again? No, this whole Job's last speech is kind of fire, but this whole book is super, like, really, really poetic. That's why I'm not going to get through this. Honestly, that's one thing. Favorite Flash, it's got to be Wally West. It might just be because I grew up on the Justice League cartoon, so that iteration of Flash is the one I kind of was used to. And I don't really read a lot of comics nowadays, but I'm pretty sure he's canonically the fastest Flash. But it's also why Jon Stewart is my favorite Green Lantern. That and he's black. But I voted for Obama for the same reason. The first time, not the second time. I was a little older. Oh, James' question. If life is so valuable, why was God in the Old Testament so willing to take life? Because he is in charge of life. The thing is, when you say that life is valuable, it depends on who is life valuable to, because God is the source of life. So, like, water is very valuable for us because we need water to survive. If the ocean were sentient, how valuable would a drop of water be to the ocean, especially if the ocean was just taking the drop of water back? Life is precious. What makes life precious to us is that, one, it's short. And what makes our lives precious, and this is in the Bible, is that we are made in the image of God. So God being eternal and all powerful, we're going to view life differently than God does. God is in charge of all life. So yeah, God is willing to take life. So God is willing to take life in the Old Testament because it's actually like Job said right here, like the Lord gives and the Lord takes away. You know, God is willing to give a part of his life so that we can have life. And he just has every right to take it away. And another thing you have to consider, why did God let kids get molested? That is part of the theme of the book that we're reading right now. Actually, you might have to stick around till the end, which might take several days. But I'm not God, though. So asking me why God does most things, you're going to get an answer from a human with very limited knowledge. Yeah, this, honestly, if God good, why bad thing happened is this book. It is. It really is. I was like, when I was going over this, I was like, the problem of evil has been in the Bible for thousands of years. It's all right here. And this is why I said that people who always bring that up, who like hate Job so much, if they really understood Job, they would hate it even more. Because the last chapters of Job is where God answers the problem of evil. And it is not nearly as formulaic as the stuff that we come up with. And what books do I recommend on Logos? To be honest, the only books I have on Logos are Bibles. I downloaded it, and I usually only use it when I'm doing like live streams and stuff. I don't get nearly as much use out of it as I could or should. But anyway, let me at least try to get to some of these speeches. He said, if you consider my servant Job. So he recommends Job again. There's none like him on earth. Blameless and upright man, fears God, turns away from evil, still holds fast his integrity, which he did. although you incited me against him to destroy him without reason. Something else I want to bring up. This isn't really, how does that keep happening? This isn't really, I just realized y'all can't see that, so I'm just making noise for no reason. This isn't really something that's addressed in the book, but notice that God originally told Satan that Job is in your hands, destroy all that he has. But later on, he tells him, you incited me against him to destroy him. And they said that the fire of God came down. And it reminds me of something else that, in the Bible where God is like, it's another divine council session, which is what this is, by the way. It's another divine council session where God wants to destroy, I don't remember which king it was. I think it was Ahab. And he actually gives the angels in the council, lets them choose how this king is going to die. And God kind of does the same thing here. It's okay, go ahead, destroy him. But God is like, basically the things that the Satan does, and this is why another reason why I'm not necessarily saying that this is the devil, because the things that the Satan does, God comes back and says, I did these things. So because if it's done under God's order, it's what God had done, which is also why if the Bible is divinely inspired, it might as well be written by God. He's just using humans instead of angels. But hold on, I got to address this because I can't pronounce your first name, but Beverly said, my wife said the only thing keeping her from Christianity is the book of Job. Well, the good news is that means she's close. There's 65 other books. But I get it. It's the problem of evil is a very, very very tough hurdle to get over, because no matter what you do, no matter what kind of answers you have, there's always going to be suffering in the world. And at the end of the day, the answer to the problem of evil isn't some formula we can come up with. The answer to the problem of evil isn't Job. The answer to the problem of evil is Jesus. It's the crucifixion. Because all of the suffering and stuff in the world at the end of the day is a result of sin, is a result of the fall. The world is broken. The world is jacked up. And that's what Jesus came to fix. So it's actually kind of ironic that your wife says that the thing that's keeping her away from Christianity is the book of Job, because Christianity is the solution to the problem addressed in Job. In Isaiah 45, I don't want to guess at what, I'm going to try to look it up real quick. And then I got to get back to Job, doggone it. I'm going to try to look it up really quick just to make sure. But I think that verse in Isaiah 45 you're referring to is misunderstood sometimes. Oh yeah, when God says, I form the light and create the darkness, I make peace and create evil. That is not the best translation, actually. The word that's translated to evil there is better translated as like chaos or calamity. So, yes, God does in that sense, create evil because, if God lets, I'm sure your wife's salvation is very, very important to you. I could talk one-on-one if that's okay. That'd be perfectly fine. Yeah, basically. Like order and chaos, everything that's what it said, light and darkness, order and chaos. Wouldn't God have planned the breaking of the world, Christians? No. God knew about it. Planned it? Not exactly. It's like if you put a lightning rod on a building, are you planning for it to get struck by lightning? No, but it probably will. You still don't understand the meaning of Job? Well, stick around. That's what we're going to talk about. If we, actually, what denomination am I? I am not affiliated with a denomination. I do get people, whenever I say that, I do get people saying that non-denominational is a denomination, which I feel like it's saying that unemployed is a job or bald is a hairstyle. But no, I'm not affiliated with any particular denomination. I do have a church home. I think we like to glaze over everyone's evil. Where does evil come from? Yeah, and that's the thing. And this is why like my take on original sin is a slightly different from the Catholic take on it, because people say that, we're being punished for Adam's sin. It's like, we're not being punished for Adam's sin. Are you sinless? Because yeah, Adam did sin, but so do you. If Adam didn't sin, then you just would have ate the fruit. And that's the thing. We all want to believe that we would have been different. If you were in Adam's position, you would have been chowing down on the fruit too. So chill. It's like the whole, like, will my life stop if I say Nazi? Like, if you were in Germany in World War II, you probably would have been a Nazi. It's just like that. It's like, heck, it's like how black people be like, I couldn't have been a slave back then. They would have had to kill me. No, they wouldn't. You would have been picking cotton. I mean, hate to admit it, but you probably would have been picking cotton. Let's just be for real. Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's keep going. About the Judas thing. Yeah, Judas could have been, any one of us could have been Judas. I know my black behind would have been in the field getting whipped because I can't see. And I know nobody getting me no glasses. Anyway. Okay, so Satan answered God, skin for skin. All that a man has he will give for his life, but stretch out your hand and touch his bone and flesh, and he will curse you to your face. And the Lord said to Satan, behold, he is in your hand, only spare his life. So God's like, again, he's vindicating Job against this accusation against him. So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord and struck Job with loathsome sores from the sole of his feet to the crown of his head. And he took a piece of broken pottery with which to scrape himself while he sat in ashes. The scraping with the pottery is like, ugh. Dude was cutting himself. So Job was going through it again. Then his wife came and said to him, I know you guys have probably heard this joke before, but I think it's hilarious and my wife isn't around so I can tell it. I love the fact that God took away everything Job had, killed all his children, put sores all over his body. Satan wanted to make Job as miserable as possible, and he did not kill Job's wife. So take from that what you will. Anyway, so then his wife said to him, do you still hold fast to your integrity? Curse God and die. But he said to her, you speak as... See, I don't... as much as I like other versions of the Bible, sometimes the King James Version hits different. Because in the King James Version, he says what to his wife before he says this. He's like, what? But that's not in this version. I don't know why. But he said to her, you speak as one of the foolish women would speak. Shall we receive good from God, and shall we not receive evil? And all this Job did not sin with his lips. Yeah, that's true. He did leave the friends alive. So, and he had to end up sacrificing for them just like he used to do with his kids. So Job had it all bad. He got bad wife, bad friends. And now, oh, here they come. Job's 3 friends heard all of this evil that had come upon him, and they came each from his own place. I'm going to try with these names. Eliphaz, the Temanite, Bildad, the Shuhite, and Zophar, the Nahumite. They made an appointment together, came to show him sympathy and comfort him. And when they saw him from a distance, they did not recognize him. Oh, thank you for the roses and stuff, Hobart. They did not recognize him. So he was so bad, they didn't even recognize him. And they raised their voices and wept, and they tore their robes and sprinkled dust on their heads towards heaven. And they sat down with him on the ground 7 days and 7 nights, and no one spoke a word to him, for they saw that his suffering was very great. Now, here's the thing that we're going to see later on, is that right here is probably the best Job's friends have been to him. because before he starts talking and starts lamenting the day of his birth, they just sit with him and they just be there for him. Because sometimes that's what people need when they're suffering. They're just there for Job, mourning with him, as you're supposed to do. We're supposed to mourn with those who mourn. But then Job opens his mouth and they get offended by the stuff that he says. So, and here goes Job. And I love Job's speeches too. Like, all of their speeches are pretty darn good. I can't even lie. So he said, after this, Job opened his mouth and cursed the day of his birth. Job said, let the day perish on which I was born, and the night that said a man is conceived. Let the day be darkness, may God above not seek it, nor light shine upon it. Let gloom and deep darkness claim it. Let clouds dwell upon it. Let the blackness of the day, let me silence my phone. Let the blackness of the day, oh, hold on, let me just do this real quick. Messing up my poetic flow. Let gloom and deep darkness claim it. Let the clouds dwell upon it. Let the blackness of the day terrify it. That night, let thick darkness seize it. Let it not rejoice among the days of the year. Let it not come into the number of months. Behold, let the night be barren. Let no joyful cry enter it. Let those who curse the day who are ready to rouse up Leviathan. Let the stars of its dawn be dark. Let it hope for light, but have none, nor see the eyelids of the morning. Because it did not shut the doors of my mother's womb, nor hide trouble from my eyes. Why did I not die at birth? Why did I not come out of the womb and expire? Why did the knees receive me? Knees is a euphemism there. Or why the breasts that I should nurse? For then I would have lain down and been quiet. I would have slept. Then I would have been at rest with the kings and counselors of the earth, who rebuilt ruins for themselves, or princes who had gold. Are you late? That's okay. I could give you a quick rundown of what has happened. Job's family is dead. His body is torn up, and now he is cursing the day that he was born. And we talked about the Satan and a bunch of other unrelated things because I am easily distracted. Okay, I'm going to try to get through this without any interruptions. Or princes who had gold, who filled their houses with silver. Why was I not hidden as a stillborn child, as infants who never see the light? There the wicked cease from troubling, and there the weary are at rest. The prisoners are at ease together. They hear not the voice of the taskmaster. The small and great are there, and the slave is free from his master. Why is light given to him who is in misery, and life to the bitter in soul, who long for death, but it comes not, and dig for it more than for hidden treasures, who rejoice exceedingly and are glad when they find the grave? Why is light given to a man whose way is hidden, whom God has hedged in? For my sighing comes instead, my sighing, I said sighting, can't read. For my sighing comes instead of my bread, and my groanings are poured out like water. For the thing that I fear comes upon me, and what I dread befalls me. I am not at ease, nor am I quiet. I am not at ease, nor am I quiet. I have no rest, but trouble comes. Nice. So, one thing I'm going to point out real quick, like I said before, he said the thing that I fear comes upon me. So this is what he was afraid of happening. Who is Satan in the Bible? I know he says he's the father of lies, but is he a fallen angel? Okay, hold on. Let me go back. Because Mr. Awesome says, why does God still allow me to live? He's not saying, why does God still allow me to live? He's saying, why was I ever born in the first darn place? So he's cursing the day that he was ever born because of what he's going through. And he's saying that, like, basically, if life is going to be like this, it's better to just not live. And this is going to be a little controversial to say, but reading this reminded me of sort of the abortion arguments. Like, oh, if they might go into foster care, they might suffer. So might as well kill him in the womb. That's basically what Job is saying here. Like, if life is gonna suck for me, then I should just die. But what's important, and it might seem valid. I mean, let's be real. Would it be a self-report if I say we've all felt this way at one point? Maybe we haven't. I have. Shoot. I'd be like, can I just freaking die, please? I mean, I've never gone through anything as bad as Job, obviously. My family is still alive and well and will, God forbid, but yeah, it could always be worse. But we could say it could always be worse, but from a biblical standpoint, looking at this story, it couldn't be worse. Not for Job. We could probably sit here and think of ways it could be worse, but the whole point of this is that Job's life is as bad as it could possibly be. Like, literally speaking. That's the point. Because Job, what we need to think about here is Job as like an archetype for the suffering innocent. So it could always be worse, but even if we think of somebody who's in a worst position, then that person is the Job. When I say he suffered more than Jesus, you can't quantify suffering. That's the thing. I would only say that Jesus suffered more because Jesus was God. So Job was lowered as low as he could possibly be, but Jesus was lowered as low as he could possibly be, but he was up much, 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 much higher than any of us could ever be. So it's like, you could fall and it could hurt, but if I fall off the roof, it's going to hurt a lot more. And, Jesus was doing it as a sacrifice. But what's really happening here mostly is that Job is just he's just complaining. And I don't say that to downplay what's happening. It's that he's complaining because he has a reason to complain. He's going through it. And that's going to be important for what happens in the next chapter, because now Eliphaz is going to speak. Then Eliphaz the Temanite answered, and he said, if one ventures a word with you, will you be impatient? Yet who can keep from speaking? Behold, you have instructed many, and you have strengthened the weak hands. Your words have upheld him who is stumbling, and you have made firm the feeble knees. But now it has come to you, and you are impatient. It touches you, and you are dismayed. So right here, we get our first look at the quote unquote wisdom that this book is deconstructing. Because what Eliphaz is telling Job is that, you're one of us. You're one of the wise guys. People would come to you for advice. You would tell them what to do. And I think those of us who have been in ministry kind of know this experience too. It's really easy to give advice when you're not going through it. You've given people all kinds of advice, but now it touches you, and look at you, complaining. So what if your whole family is dead and every moment of your life is agony? Stop complaining, Job. But he says it comes to you, you're impatient. It touches you and you are dismayed. Is not your fear of God your confidence, and the integrity of your ways your hope? Remember, who that was innocent has ever perished, or where have the upright cut off? Where were the upright cut off? As I have seen, those who plow iniquity and sow trouble reap the same. Sorry, I have a gas in me. By the breath of God they perish, and by the blast of his anger they are consumed. The roar of the lion, the voice of the fierce lion, the teeth of the young lions are broken. The strong lion perishes for lack of prey, and the cubs of the lioness are scattered. So this is basically him saying that bad people get bad things happening to them. Now a word was brought to me stealthily. My ear received the whisper of it amid thoughts from visions at night. Oh, there. Excuse me. When deep sleep falls upon men, dread came upon me and trembling, which made all my bones shake. A spirit glided past my face, and the hair of my flesh stood up. It stood still, but I could not discern its appearance. A form was before my eyes. There was silence. Then I heard a voice. Can a mortal man be right before God? Can a man be pure before his Maker? Even in his servants he puts no trust, and his angels he charges with error. How much more those who dwell in houses of clay, whose foundation is in the dust, who are crushed like a moth. Between morning and evening they are beaten to pieces. They perish forever without anyone regarding it. Is not their tent cord plucked up within them? Do they not die, and that without wisdom? So, oh, hold on. Is Job 1:2 meant to be a repeated scene? Yeah, basically. Because at first, it's just God taking away Job's possessions, like all of his stuff. And that's just kind of showing that Job does have integrity and that he's going to hold on to his integrity. And then the second part, it does repeat it. But the whole point of that is to show that, okay, now we're taking everything from Job. So that's really all it is. But this right here, what he's saying about can a mortal man be right before God? So his whole thing is, you say you're this righteous man, and we don't see anything wrong with you. We can't find any fault in Job. But there has to be something, because you're... Oh, hold on. I had somebody on the YouTube chat and I didn't even see it. Oops. He's saying there has to be something wrong with you, Job. Otherwise, this wouldn't be happening. So, what's going on? Because a man can't be right before God. And I have said this because people say, why do bad things happen to good people? My first thought is there are no good people. But I still believe that. But for the purposes of our story, that's not the case with Job. So he's saying, you're a mortal man. So even though you appear righteous, you're not. And all this bad stuff happening to you is proof that there is something wrong with you. Doesn't Job have original sin? Yes. But, okay, so here's the thing we have to understand about the Bible. Just like I'm sure Job had original sin, I don't think, and I'm not being sarcastic here, I'm making a point. Just like I'm sure Job had original sin, I'm sure that Job and his friends didn't speak to each other in prose. You know what I mean? So this is a story that's written for wisdom, that's written to prove a point. That's why, like, when somebody asked, when somebody said like it could always be worse, I was like, it probably could be worse, but for the purposes of the story, it couldn't be worse, because the whole point is that he's as low as he could possibly be. So does Job have original sin? I'm going to say for literary purposes, no. In real life, he's human. Yes, he would. But for our purposes of the wisdom being taught in the story, no. He's a perfect man. He's completely righteous. It's like, I heard a really good analogy about this. I think it was from the Bible Project. They talked about if you take a photograph of a tree, or even like what you're seeing on your screen right now, this me that's talking to you, that is not me. That is a digital recreation of me. I am nowhere near you. And in that same way, like, that's why when we say that some of this stuff really happened, it's like it really happened, but there are going to be sometimes liberties taken for the purpose of the story. That's why sometimes things happen like in different orders and stuff in the gospel. It's taking those events, but there is a theological purpose to it. I think the whole Bible shows that man cannot do good generally, but God made a way through Jesus. Yeah, I've always said, this is what I tell when I do my class at my church. I always say, here's the theme of the Bible. God is faithful, we are not. That's pretty much it. Hold on. The point of Job. Oh, I can't. Oh, Job, wasn't it to highlight what was truly in Job's heart? Um, yes and no. It does highlight what was truly in Job's heart, but really the purpose, like the overall purpose of Job, is to show that human wisdom cannot figure God out, basically. Because the whole thing, what's happening here, and I'm getting into spoiler territory, I guess, but all this stuff happens to Job. God is doing this to vindicate Job against the accusations of the Satan. Job does not know this, and neither do any of his friends. Nobody knows this. His friends are saying that what wisdom says, and this is why I say it's interesting that this is even in the Bible, because this kind of flies in the face of a lot of the wisdom that's in the Bible, especially in Proverbs. You will find this, like in Psalms and Proverbs, you will find this, the good triumph, the wicked don't, in other books in the Bible. And Job comes along and says it's not that simple. And that's what I love about the Bible. The Bible covers it covers all bases. You can't get away from it. But yeah, so the whole point of it is like this human wisdom that we have that says the good prosper, the wicked suffer. Like, it's a good rule of thumb, but when it comes to what God is doing, we can't put God in our human boxes and think that we are wise. Nobody is wise but God. That's really the biggest thing. Hold on a second. My son is screaming. Oh, they're okay. Okay. Sorry. Anyway, so yeah, I think that's really like the overall point of Job. Okay, so where are we? We're at the tent chords. Yeah. Okay, and they die, and he says, "Do they not die in that without wisdom?" Because of course men are not wise. So he even acknowledges that humans are not wise, and he says, "Call now. Is there anyone?" And this is still Eliphaz talking. So this is still one of Job's friends. "Call now. Is there anyone who will answer you? To which of the holy ones will you turn? Surely vexation kills the fool, and jealousy slays the simple. I have seen the fool taking root, but suddenly I cursed his dwelling. His children are far from safety, they are crushed in the gate, and there is no one to deliver them. The hungry eat his harvest," talking about the fool, "and he takes it even out of thorns, and the thirsty pant after his wealth. For affliction does not come from the dust." He said, this stuff ain't coming out of nowhere, Job. "Nor does trouble sprout from the ground, but man is born to trouble as the sparks flies upward. As for me, I would seek God." He said, if I was you, I would seek God. And to God would I commit my cause, who does great things and unsearchable marvelous things without number. He gives rain on the earth and sends the waters on the fields and sets on high those who are lowly. And those who mourn are lifted safely. He frustrates the devices of the crafty so that their hands achieve no success. He catches the wise in their own craftiness, and the schemes of the wily are brought to a quick end. They meet with darkness in the daytime and grope at noonday as the night. So this is the conventional wisdom. But he saves the needy from the sword of their mouth and from the hand of the mighty. So the poor have hope, and injustice shuts her mouth. Behold, blessed is the one whom God reproves. For therefore, despise not the discipline of the Almighty. So he's saying, stop complaining. It's good that God is disciplining you for whatever bad thing that you did that I don't know what it is. For he wounds, but he binds up. He shatters, but his hands heal. He will deliver you from 6 troubles. In 7, no evil shall touch you. In famine, he will redeem you from death, and in war, from the power of the sword. You shall be hidden from the lash of the tongue, and shall not fear destruction when it comes. At destruction and famine, you shall laugh. and shall not fear the beasts of the earth. For you shall be in league with the stones of the field, and the beasts of the field shall be at peace with you. You shall know your tent is at peace, and you shall inspect your fold and miss nothing. You shall know also that your offspring shall be many, and your descendants as the grass of the earth. You shall come to your grave in ripe old age, like a sheaf gathered up in its season. Behold, this we have searched out. It is true. Hear and know it for your good. So he's telling Job, look, this stuff, this horrible stuff that's happening to you, it's actually good for you, because God is disciplining you. And he's gonna bear you up, and he's gonna make everything better. Crazy part is this actually does end up happening. But the whole point is, this is the conventional wisdom. This is what should happen. This is what ought to happen. Job's hearing none of it. Because he says, then Job answered and said, oh, that my vexation were weighed, and all my calamity laid in the balances. For then it would be heavier than the sand of the sea. Therefore my words have been rash. For the arrows of the Almighty are in me. My spirit drinks their poison. The terrors of God are arrayed against me. Does the wild donkey bray when he has grass, or the ox low over his fodder? Can that which is tasteless be eaten without salt? Or is there any taste in the juice of the mallow? My appetite refuses to touch them. They are as food that is loathsome to me. So what he's saying is, hey, guess what? I'm complaining because my life sucks. So you're telling me, why are you complaining, Job? God is discipline. I'm complaining because my family is dead, all of my possessions are gone, and my body is covered in boils. I'm not having a great time. Is it okay for me to vent a little bit? This is for all the married men out there. Sometimes conventional wisdom is no match for just letting it complain. And the interesting thing about this is, remember, what we know is that Job doesn't sin. Job doesn't curse God. So yes, he's complaining, he's lamenting the day he was born and all this stuff, but this isn't sinful. They're just offended because of the way he's talking. They don't like the way he's talking. And he's like, well, of course I'm going to talk like this. Look at me. You expect me to be, as a matter of fact, let me keep reading. Oh, that I might have my request, and that God will fulfill my hope. That it would please God to crush me. So he's still wishing he were dead. So that it would please God to crush me, that he would let loose his hand and cut me off. This would be my comfort. I would even exult in pain unsparing, for I have not denied the words of the Holy One. What is my strength that I should wait? And what is my end that I should be patient? Is my strength the strength of stones and my flesh of bronze? Have I any help in me when resource is driven from me? He who withholds kindness from a friend forsakes the fear of Almighty. My brothers are treacherous as a torrent bed, as terrestrial streams that pass by, which are dark with ice. And where the snow hides itself, when they melt, they disappear. When it is hot, they vanish from their place. The caravans turn aside from their course. They go up into the waste and perish. The caravans of Tema look, the travelers of Sheba hope. They are ashamed because they were confident. They come there and are disappointed. Now, what is all of this? It is believed that Job is the oldest book in the Bible. But what the heck is Job talking about here? So remember, what his Eliphaz was telling him was, hey, all this bad stuff is happening to you because God is punishing you. He's chastening you. He's disciplining you. But if you're really righteous, he's gonna bear you up and things are gonna get better. And Job is basically saying, screw all that. Because remember, Job is saying that all these things have happened to me, but he's like, God's not disciplining me because I haven't done anything wrong. So for Job, for you to say, well, God is gonna bear you up after he's done punishing you, he's like, God's not punishing me. Or he's saying that I haven't done anything worth punishment. So you're telling me to have hope. He's like, what? The only thing I hope for is to die. Because what am I waiting for? That's why I said, what is my strength that I should wait? What is my end that I should be patient? What am I waiting for? The end of a punishment for something I didn't do? How do I know the punishment is going to end? I should just die right now. And he says, he who withholds kindness from, oh, I read that already. Okay. Yeah, and that's his thing. Like the caravans are looking, the travelers of Sheba hope. He's saying, you want me to go and hope. You want me to go and hope for a better tomorrow, like these travelers of Sheba. But guess what? He says they are ashamed because they were confident. I already feel like crap. You want me to be confident so I can just feel like crap again when nothing happens. That's what Job is saying, basically. See, for you have now become nothing. You see my calamity and are afraid. And this is the thing right here. He's saying, you guys in your wisdom, what it really is, you guys are scared. You want to believe that I does something wrong because if this kind of suffering can happen to me who is innocent, it can also happen to you. So you have to explain it away because you're afraid. It doesn't have anything to do with me. You're not trying to comfort me. You're just scared it's going to happen to you. And that's why you're trying to explain away my suffering. And he says, have I said, make me a gift? Or from your wealth, offer a bribe for me, or deliver me from the adversary's hand, or redeem me from the hand of the ruthless. He's like, I didn't ask y'all for nothing. I didn't ask y'all to help me. He says, teach me, and I will be silent. Make me understand how I have gone astray. How forceful or upright word. Tell me what I did. It makes me think of Jesus saying, my God, why have you forsaken me? Yeah, it's kind of like a very, very long version of that. But heck, Job would probably say that he wants to be forsaken by God. He wants God to leave him alone. But he's saying, teach me and I will be silent. Make me understand how I've gone astray. Because you talking all this mess. Tell me what I did wrong. If I'm being disciplined, tell me and I'll be quiet. How forceful are upright words? But what does reproof from you reprove? Do you think that you can reprove words when the speech of a despairing man is wind? You would even cast lots over the fatherless and bargain over your friend. So he's saying, like, what do you think this is gonna do? I'm saying all of this horrible stuff. I'm saying all this horrible stuff that's happened to me, and I'm despairing over my life, and you're treating my words like wind. You're not even listening to me because you think I did something wrong, and I'm basically just whining. But now be pleased to look at me, for I will not lie to your face. Please turn. Let no injustice be done. Turn now. My vindication is at stake. Is there any injustice on my tongue? Cannot my palate discern the cause of calamity? And Job continues, has not a man a hard service on this earth? And are not his days like the days of a hired man? Like a slave who longs for the shadow, and like a hired hand who looks for his wages. So I am not allotted months of emptiness, and nights of misery are appropriated to me. So he's saying, like, life is short, and we're living through these days of turmoil, and you want me to hope for something more, but life is short. You want me to die hoping instead of complaining. For what? I'm saying, when I lie down, I say, when shall I arise? But the night is long, and I am full of tossing till dawn. My flesh is clothed in worms and dirt. My skin hardens, then breaks out afresh. You need some lotion. My days are swifter than a weaver's shuttle and come to their end without hope. Remember that my life is a breath. My eye will never again see good. So he's like, nothing's good's gonna happen to me again. Because you got to remember, Job still has that same conventional wisdom in his head. That good thing. Oh yeah, Job was really going. I literally said that to myself out loud when I was reading this. I was like, Job is going through it, but you can't blame him. And he's saying what he says about my eye will never see good again. He still has this wisdom in his head that if I'm righteous, then good things will happen to me. But now I'm righteous, bad things are happening to me. So this is my life now. That's why he's just like, can I just freaking die, please? With Job's like, Job would be incredible as a play if you did it right. Because just like this is, I like remember this, like all of this. The way this is written, what somebody tells you the Bible was just some dusty old book written by goat herders. Okay, could you write this? I couldn't. And I wrote professionally for a couple of years. I couldn't do this. Crazy. Dan McClellan might say it was later changed to be better written. I don't have any proof of that. That's just what I think. Anyway. Oh, but scholars might say it. I don't know. Anyway, remember, my life is a breath. My eye will never again see good. The eye of him who sees me will behold me no more. While your eyes are on me, I shall be gone. As the cloud fades and vanishes, so he who goes down to Sheol does not come back up, unless his name is Jesus. He returns no more to his house, nor does his place know him anymore. Therefore, I will not restrain my mouth. I will speak in the anguish of my spirit. Because they just telling him to be quiet. They're like, stop talking mess. I will complain in the bitterness of my soul. Am I the sea or a sea monster that you set a guard over me? Hold on, where's some... I'm streaming on TikTok. They said guard me when I say my bed will comfort me. My couch will ease my complaint. Then you scare me with dreams and terrify me with visions so that I would choose strangling and death rather than my bones. I loathe my life. I would not live forever. Leave me alone, for my days are a breath. What is a man that you make so much of him? He's talking to God at this point. That you set your heart on him, visit him every morning, and test him every moment. How long will you not look away from me? This is what I meant when I said, like, he probably wants him to, he probably wants God to forsake him. He said, how long will you not look away from me, nor leave me alone till I swallow my spit? Ugh. If I sin, what do I do to you, you watcher of mankind? Why have you made me your mark? Why have I become a burden to you? Why do you not pardon my transgression and take away my iniquity? For I shall lie in the earth. You will seek me, but I shall not be. So this is the point where Job starts going a little bit off the rails. Because now he starts talking to God, and what happens is, while he doesn't curse God, he does seem to be getting to a point where he starts accusing God of being not unjust, but incompetent. Because his thing is, God is punishing me for like I did something wrong, but I didn't do anything. My skin hardens and it breaks out, yeah. Okay, so now Bildad is going to talk. 7:12. Making some good timing today. I didn't think I'd get through this much of it today. Then Bildad the Shuhite answered and said, how long will you say these things, and the words of your mouth be a great wind? Does God pervert justice? So they still just want him to shut up. Yeah, he did do everything, but and that's the thing. He did do everything but curse God. The way when you hear people talk about this book, you would think that Job went through all of this stuff and he was like, no matter what happens, I still love you, God. I still know God's good. No, Job was very, very angry at God. He just didn't curse him. Job was not having any of it. That's why people say like the patience of Job. What do you mean the patience of Job? Job was wilding out in chapter 8. He was through at the very beginning of this whole thing. What's it? Oh, so this is another one of his friends. Does the Almighty pervert the right? If your children have sinned against him, he has delivered them to the hand of their transgression. It's like, okay, really? He's like, oh, your children are dead? They probably deserved it. That's what you say to the suffering man. If you will seek God and plead with the Almighty for mercy, if you are pure and upright, surely then he will rouse himself for you and restore your rightful habitation. And though your beginning was small, your latter days will be very great. Yeah, let's clip verse 7 for a prosperity scripture. For inquire, please, of bygone ages, and consider what the fathers have searched out. This is important. He telling him to look at bygone ages. For we are but of yesterday and know nothing. For our days on earth are a shadow. Will they not teach you and tell you and utter words out of their understanding? Can papyrus grow where there is no marsh? Can reeds flourish where there is no water? Yet in flower, while yet in flower and not cut down, they wither before any other plant. Such are the paths of those who forget God. The hope of the godless shall perish. His confidence is severed, and his trust is a spider's web. Before I move on, him telling him to search what the fathers have said. Look at the wisdom of the past ages. This is them going to the wisdom and saying, okay, here's the thing. I get what you're saying, Job, that you're righteous, but this isn't just us. This isn't just the four of us talking about this. This is the age-old wisdom of our fathers. And they gotta know what they're talking about. Like, one man's life is nothing, but this wisdom goes all the way back, so it has to be right. I mean, the kid, that's basically what he said. He said, if your children sinned against him, he has delivered them into the hand of their transgression. He's like, hey, your kids died because they were sinning. You were sacrificing for them. So they must have done something wrong. Now they're dead. But you're not dead. So pray to God and he'll deliver you. Where am I at? His confidence, sir. Oh, his confidence is severed and his trust is a spider's web. He leans against his house, but it does not stand. This is the those who like search for God. Oh, or those who forget God. That's what he's talking about. He lays hold of it, but it does not endure. He is a lush plant before the sun, and his shoots spread over his garden, his roots intertwined with the stone heap. He looks upon a house of stones. If he is destroyed from his place, then it will deny him, saying, I ain't never seen you. Before this is the joy, behold, this is the joy of his way, and out of the soil others will spring. Behold, God will not reject a blameless man, nor take the hand of evildoers. He will yet fill your mouth with laughter and your lips with shouting. Those who hate you will be clothed in shame, and the tent of the wicked will be no more. So, same old, same old. If you're really righteous, you're going to be all right, Job. Stop tripping, Job. You're going to be fine. And Job answered and said, truly, I know what is so. But how can a man be in the right before God? If one wished to contend with him, one could not answer him once in 1,000 times. He is wise in heart and almighty in strength. Who has hardened himself against him and succeeded? He who removes mountains, and they know it not, when he overturns them in his anger, who shakes the earth out of its place, and its pillars tremble, who commands the sun, and it does not rise, who seals up the stars, who alone stretched out the heavens and trampled the waves of the sea, who made the Bear and Orion and Pleiades and the chambers of the south, who does great things beyond searching out, and marvelous things beyond number. Behold, he passes by me, and I see him not. He moves on, but I do not perceive him. Behold, he snatches away. Who can turn him back? Who will say to him, "What are you doing?" God will not turn back his anger. Beneath him bowed the helpers of Rahab. How then can I answer him, choosing my words with him? So here's Job's thing. He's like, yeah, I'm innocent. But even if I am innocent, how can I prove that to God? What can I do? As a matter of fact, hold on, let me finish this. Though I am in the right, I cannot answer him. I must appeal for mercy to my accuser. If I summoned him and he answered me, I would not believe that he was listening to my voice, for he crushes me with the tempest, and he multiplies my wounds without cause. He will not let me get my breath, but fills me with bitterness. If it is a contest of strength, behold, he is mighty. If it is a matter of justice, who can summon him? Though I am in the right, my own mouth would condemn me. Though I am blameless, he would prove me perverse. So what he's saying is, yes, I am innocent, but it's like, it doesn't matter if I'm innocent. If I'm going to go before God and try to plead my case, yeah, that's the thing. And this is why I said that Job doesn't curse God, but he kind of starts accusing God of being incompetent, because he's saying that God is punishing me, and maybe God is punishing. Maybe God thinks I did something wrong, even though I didn't. But if God thinks I did something wrong, even though I'm innocent, what can I do? I can't contend with God. He said, even if I try to plead my case, my mouth would just announce me guilty by itself, because that's how powerful God is. Like, if it's a matter of strength, I can't overpower him. And if it's a matter of justice, justice is in his hands. So even though I'm innocent, it doesn't matter. So he's almost accusing God of being like not a very good judge of character, it seems. Yeah, your arms are too short to box with God is a good way to sum up this whole little monologue right here. It sucks though. It said, I'm blameless. I am blameless. I regard not myself. I loathe my life. It is all one. Therefore I say, he destroys both the blameless and the wicked. When disaster brings sudden death, he mocks at the calamity of the innocent. See, now he's tripping, because he's saying it's about God. He mocks at the calamity of the innocent. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covers the faces of its judges. If it is not he, then who is it? So now this is going back to the, if God's good, why does bad things happen? He's saying that all this bad stuff is happening to me and so many other innocent people, while meanwhile the wicked are thriving. So you guys are telling me that if you're righteous, good things will happen. If you're not righteous, bad things will happen. But I don't see bad things happening to bad people. The bad things are happening to me, and I'm good. So what is God doing? He's saying that he covers the face of the judges. My days are swifter than a runner. They flee away. They see no good. They go by like skiffs of reed, like an eagle swooping on his prey. They say, I will forget my complaint. Up, up, up. Where does I go? I will forget my complaint. I will put off my sad face and be of good cheer. Oh, my bad. He said, if I say I will forget my complaint, I will put off my sad face and be of good cheer. I become afraid of all my suffering, for I know you will not hold me innocent. I shall be condemned. then why do I labor in vain? If I wash myself with snow and cleanse my hands with lye, yet you will plunge me into a pit, and my own clothes will abhor me. For he is not a man as I am, that I might answer him, that he would come on trial together. So he's saying, like, okay, let's say I did do what you guys are doing. Like I said, I put off my sad face and I was all happy and smiling, and I was like, oh, let me hope. He said, I become afraid of all my suffering, for I know you will not hold me innocent. He's saying, like, God's not going to find me innocent, because if he did, this wouldn't be happening to me. So even if I am completely righteous, even if I'm good, even if I cleanse myself, he's going to plunge me into a slime pit. He's going to find me dirty no matter what I do. Job has a great insight about the coming Redeemer. Yeah, that every time I saw that I know my Redeemer lives, I was like, that just seems, it almost seems out of place. It almost seems like it came out of nowhere. I'm like, did Job got a glimpse right there. That was so interesting to me. I was like, I know that's right, Job. You're not completely off your rocker. He got some sense. Where are we? Oh, he said, he's not a man that I might answer him, that we could come to trial together. There is no arbiter between us who might lay his hand on us both. Let him take his rod away from me, and let not the dread of him terrify me. Then I would speak without fear of him, for I am not so in myself. So he's saying, like, all this bad stuff is happening to me. What am I going to do? I'm supposed to talk against God? He's just going to make things worse if I do that. My nose is itching so bad. Hold on. Okay. Oh, wrong one. Hold up. There we go. Okay. This verse, he makes it rain on the righteous and the unrighteous apply here. I think it does. Yeah, King Arthur. I think it does apply here. But see, that's the thing that Job isn't seeing, because he, just like his friends, are caught in this, like, this oversimplified wisdom. The only difference between Job and his friends is that Job's friends are convinced that Job must have done something wrong. Job is convinced that God thinks he did. God is treating him as if he did something wrong, even though he didn't. So they don't get the, and that's what it really starts to come to in the end here, when God is basically like, you don't know what's going on. You think you know, but you have no idea. I don't know where I got that from. I got that from somewhere. But okay, so Job is still talking in chapter 10. He says, I loathe my life. I feel it, Job. He said, I loathe my life. I will give utterance to my complaint. I will speak in bitterness. I will speak in the bitterness of my soul. I will say to God, do not condemn me. Let me know why you contend against me. Does it seem good to you to oppress, to despise the work of your hands, and favor the designs of the wicked? Have you eyes of flesh? Do you see as man sees? See, he's talking mad garbage to God now. Because he's saying, like, right now, he's saying, I loathe my life. I will give free utterance to my complaint. So he's saying, you know what? The worst God can do is kill me. So I'm just going to go off. So that's what he does. He says, I will say to God, do not condemn me. Let me know why you contend against me. Does it seem good to you to oppress, to despise the work of your hands, and favor the designs of the wicked? He's saying that God favors the designs of the wicked. Have you eyes of flesh? Do you see as man sees? Are your days as the days of man, or are your years as man's years? Do you that you seek out my iniquity and search for my sin? Although you know that I am not guilty, and there is none to deliver out of your hand. Your hands fashioned and made me, and now you have destroyed me altogether. Remember that you have made me like clay, and I will return. And will you return me to the dust? Did you not pour me out like milk and curdle me like cheese? You clothed me with skin and flesh. You knit me together with bones and sinews. You have granted me life and steadfast love, and your care has preserved my spirit. Yet these things you hid in your heart. These things, like these things that, so he's like, oh, you made me, you formed me with so much care, but this is who you really are. All this crazy stuff. These things you hid in your heart. I know that this was your purpose. If I sin, you watch me and do not acquit me of my iniquity. If I am guilty, woe to me. If I am in the right, I cannot lift up my head. For I am filled with disgrace, and look on my affliction. And if my head lifted up, if were my head lifted up, I need a different version, you would hunt me like a lion and again work wonders against me. So he's saying, even if things got better for me, you would mess me up again. You renew your witness against me and increase your vexation toward me. You bring fresh troops against me. Why did you bring me out of the womb? Would that I had died before any eye had seen me, and were as though I had not been carried from the womb to the grave. Are not my days few? Then cease and leave me alone, that I may find a little cheer before I go, and I shall not return to the land of darkness and deep shadow, the land of gloom, like thick darkness, like deep shadow without any order, where the light is thick as darkness. So he's just telling God to leave him alone at this point. So yeah, so Job was tripping. Now he's like, the worst that God can do is kill me, so I'm just gonna go off. And that's what he did. So then Zophar the Naamite answered and said, should a multitude of words go unanswered, and a man full of talk be judged right? So he's saying, listen to how you're talking. And should you be judged right? Should your babble silence men, and when you mock, shall no one shame you? So he's like, Job, you're getting mad at us, but you're talking reckless right now. You don't want us to say anything? It's basically what he's saying. For you say, my doctrine is pure, and I am clean in God's eyes. But oh, that God would speak and open his lips to you, and that he would tell you the secrets of his wisdom, which is actually kind of going to happen. For he is manifold in understanding. Know then that God exacts of you less than your guilt deserves. So he's saying, not only are you guilty, all of this craziness that's happening to you, God is being nice to you. You deserve worse than that. You just don't see it. That's what he's saying. And here's the thing. Because I only got 30 minutes left in the stream, and I kind of want to get to this before it leaves my mind. It's like, it makes me think as an apologist, because what Job's friends are kind of doing is basically apologetics. Job is giving the, if God good, why bad thing happen? Not really, because he's not accusing God of being evil, but he's saying, this is happening to me for no reason. I am suffering for no reason. I wish I was dead. And what his friends are doing is they're running defense for God. They're basically becoming like God's defense attorneys. Like, no, this is like, I know how God is. This is the wisdom. Let me tell you something. And it's kind of what I see as might be one of the dangers of apologetics. Excuse me. Is that sometimes and this is kind of where discernment comes in, because sometimes people are just hurting. And when people are hurting, a lot of times they don't want to hear your arguments, even if they're right. And Job's friends aren't right, they're wrong. But even if they're right, that's not going to get through to people sometimes. And this is kind of something that Job says to his friend. Job's position is challenging their belief, so they have to rationalize stuff. Yeah, and Job says as much. He said that a few chapters ago. He said that my suffering is making you afraid. That's what he said. Because if it can happen to me, if it can happen to Job, then it can happen to me too. So Job must have done something wrong. And that's really it is. They're scared because of what's happening to Job. Where's that? Oh, can you find out the deep things of God? Can you find out the limit of the Almighty? It is higher than heaven. What can you do? Deeper than Sheol. What can you know? Its measure is longer than the earth and broader than the sea. If he passes through and imprisons and summons the court, who can turn him back? For he knows worthless men when he sees iniquity, will he not consider it? But a stupid man will get understanding when a wild donkey's colt is born a man. So he's saying like you, like just a dumb human being will be wise when a wild donkey's like you can't be wise. You're just a human. So if God finds something wrong with you, then there's something wrong. He's saying, oh, I wish God would speak. I wish God would just tell you that you're doing something wrong. So now he's like, I want God to vindicate me because we're right and you're talking crazy. And man, I wish God would speak. He said, if you prepare your heart, you will stretch out your hands toward him. If iniquity is in your hands, put it far away, and let not injustice dwell in your tents. Surely then you will lift up your face without blemish, and you will be secure and not fear. You will forget your misery. Here they go again. If you would just repent, you would forget your misery. You will remember it as waters that have passed away. And your life will be brighter than the noonday. Its darkness will be like morning. And you will feel secure because there is hope. And you will look around and rest in your security. Now, real quick, just pause right there and just imagine you are going through the worst suffering of your life and people start talking to you like this. That would piss me off. I would be ready to fight if I was Job. I'm like, I'm not trying to hear that right now. This isn't doing anything for me. These little sweet words, what is this doing for me? Like you're saying, and his friends, they're saying this for themselves. Like, I don't want to hear that. Shut up. You will lie down and none will make you afraid. Many will court your favor, but the eyes of the wicked will fail. All way of escape will be lost to them, and their hope is to breathe their last. And here's Job's reply to that. Oh yeah, Job starts snapping at his friends too. He says, no doubt you are the people and wisdom will die with you. He's like, oh, my bad. I didn't know you guys were just the smartest people on earth. Wisdom will die with you. You guys are the wisest. But I have understanding as well as you. I am not inferior to you. I'm not freaking stupid. Who does not know such things as these? He's like, you guys are so wise. This stuff is basic. This is basic stuff you're saying. Who doesn't know this? I am a laughing stock to my friends. I, who called to God and he answered me, and a just and blameless man am a laughing stock. Didn't know the term laughing stock came from the Bible, by the way. In the thought of one who is at ease, there is contempt for misfortune. It is ready for those whose feet slip. The tents of robbers are at peace, and those who provoke God are secure, who will bring their God in their hand. But ask the beasts, and they will teach you, the birds of the heavens, and they will tell you, or the bushes of the earth, and they will teach you, and the fish of the sea will declare to you. Who among all these does not know the hand of the Lord has done this? And in his hand is the life of every living thing, and the breath of all mankind. Does not the ear test words? Does not the palate taste food? Wisdom is with the aged, whatever, and understanding in length of days. With God are wisdom and might. So now what Job is saying is true. Yeah, they kind of, it's interesting how like these conversations seem to get a little more heated as the book goes on. So with God are wisdom and might. He has counsel and understanding. If he tears down, none can rebuild. And if he shuts a man in, none can open. If he withholds the waters, they dry up. If he sends them out, they overwhelm the land. With him are strength and sound wisdom. The deceived and the deceiver are his. He leads counselors away stripped, and judges he makes fools. He looses the bonds of kings and binds a waistcloth on their hips. He leads priests away stripped. He overthrows the mighty. He deprives of speech those who are trusted, and takes away the discernment of the elders. He pours contempt on princes and loosens the belt of the strong. He uncovers the deeps out of the darkness and brings deep darkness to light. He makes nations great and destroys them. He enlarges nations and leads them away. He takes away understanding from the chiefs of the people of the earth and makes them wander in trackless wastes. They grope in the dark without light, and he makes them stagger like a drunken man. So basically, everything is in God's hands. Absolutely everything. That's why they weren't saying anything. Behold, my eye has seen all this. My ear has heard and understood it. So Job had to be truly righteous or truly arrogant. He didn't leave much room. I think he was both. I think Job was righteous, but he let that righteousness go to his head to a point where he thought that, and I don't even know if it was necessarily arrogance as he was actually naive. Because again, this is like this whole book is a critique of conventional man-made wisdom, because Job and all his friends are, and later on, that's a guy somebody wanted to ask me about earlier. Elihu was, he was young. A guy before God speaks, he condemns all four of them, but he's the young man, because he's like, okay, I listen to y'all talk. You guys are supposed to be so old and wise, but you don't know anything, and that's really all this is. You see? Behold, my eye has seen all this, my ears understood it. What you know, I also know. I am not inferior to you. But I would speak to the Almighty and desire to argue my case with God. So here he goes again. As for you, you whitewash with lies. Worthless physicians are you all. Oh, that you would keep silent, and it would be your wisdom. So he's like, the wisest thing you could say right now is nothing. That's basically what he just said. But he wants to plead his case to God. He's saying, and this is where like the arrogance sort of is coming up. He's saying, if God would hear my case, if he would plead my case, if he would hear me plead my case, he would find me guilty. He would find me innocent, as if God doesn't know. So now he's saying God needs to let me plead my case. And that's where, again, the critique of wisdom comes in. You really think you are wise enough to change God's mind? Now keep in mind, Moses changed God's mind, but that wasn't because of wisdom. That was because of God's own faithfulness. Job thinks he's smart enough to win an argument with God. He says, hear now my argument and listen to the pleadings of my lips. You will speak falsely for God and speak deceitfully for him. And this is true. Will you show partiality toward him? Will you plead the case for God? Will it be well with you and search you out? This right here, this is what kind of convicted me as an apologist. When he said not to speak in falsehood, but he said, when you show partiality, will you plead the case for God? And this is why I always say, we defend the faith. We don't defend God. God does not need to be defended. God does not need a lawyer. And that's what he's accusing them of doing. Because remember, they're saying you have to have done something wrong. You did something wrong. He's saying, God knows I didn't do anything wrong. So you are speaking against me on behalf of God. But this is a lie because I didn't do anything. So he's like, you're lying to protect God from me. What kind of craziness is that? Well, that's what he's saying. Will you plead the case for God? Will it be well with you when he searches you out? Or can you deceive him as one deceives a man? He will surely rebuke you. Spoiler alert, he does. If in secret you show partiality. So he's saying that you guys are being unjust in favor of God. And God doesn't even want you to be unjust in favor of him. Will not his majesty terrify you when the dread of him fall upon you? Your maxims are proverbs of ashes. Your defenses are defenses of clay. Let me have silence and I will speak. And let come on me what may. So again, he's like, I'm about to go off. If God kills me, he kills me. If he dies, he dies. Why should I take my flesh in my teeth and put my life in my hand? Though he slay me, I will hope in him. Yet I will argue my ways to his face. Here's the thing, and this is why I think it's important to remember that Job doesn't actually curse God. We see this, I don't know about you guys, but I've heard this used in church so many times. Though he slay me, yet will I hope in him. This is like the Job verse, right? That no matter what happens, I'm gonna keep my hope in God. And it's true, that's not inaccurate. But it's not the whole story. His thing is, it's almost condescending, but not, I don't think it's supposed to be. It's like, I know that that if I could argue with God, he would vindicate me. Because he's like, even after all of this craziness that's happening to me, I know that God is still just. I'm not doubting God's justice. And because God is just, I know that he would vindicate me. That's why he's saying, though he slay me, yet will I hope in him. Because like, even though all this bad stuff is even though all this terrible stuff is happening to me, I still know that God is just. You guys are lying on me to justify God as if God is a criminal and you are his defense attorneys. I still have hope in God. So he's saying, this will be my salvation, that the godless shall not come before him. Keep listening to my words and let my declaration be in your ears. Behold, I have prepared my case. I know that I shall be in the right. Who is there who will contend with me? For then I would be silent and die. Only grant me two things, then I will not hide myself from your face. Withdraw your hand far from me, and let not dread of you terrify me. Then call, and I will answer, or let me speak, and you reply to me. How many are my iniquities and my sins? Make me know my transgression and my sin. Why do you hide your face and count me as an enemy? Will you frighten a driven leaf and pursue a dry chaff? For you write bitter things against me and make me inherit the iniquities of my youth. You put my feet in the stocks and watch all my paths. You set a limit for the soles of my feet. Man wastes away like a rotten thing. He's basically saying, like, you see everything I do, like a moth-eaten garment. So he's saying, you see every single thing I do. Man who was born of woman is few days and full of trouble. Few of days and full of trouble. He comes out like a flower and withers. He flees like a shadow and continues not. And do you open your eyes on such a one and bring me into judgment with you? Who can bring a clean thing out of an unclean? There is not one. Since his days are determined, and the number of his months is with you, and you have appointed his limits that he cannot pass, look away from him and leave him alone, that he may enjoy, like a hired hand, his day. So he's saying, you're just watching every single thing I do, waiting for me to slip up. It's like, he's basically telling God, like, can you leave me alone? Just let me die? Hold on one second, this is my mom. Hello?
You get my text message. Why you don't respond to me?
I'm live streaming right now.
Oh, all right, bye.
Right. Yeah. For there is hope for a tree, but if it be cut down, that it will sprout again, and that its shoots will not cease. So he's telling God to, like, leave me alone, like, because even if you cut me down, I'll sprout up again, because I haven't done anything wrong. Though its roots grow old in the earth, and its stump die in the soil, yet at the scent of water it will bud and put on branches like a young plant. But a man dies and is laid low. Man breathes his last, and where is he? As waters fall from a lake and a river wastes away and dries up. Yeah, you got to answer for mom, especially my mom, because she'll be thinking I'm dead if I don't answer the phone. So a man lies down and rises not again. I'm actually the same way. Like, if my wife is gone somewhere and I call her and she don't pick up, and then I text her and she don't respond, I'm like, oh my God, what happened? Yeah, it's not a good way to live, but it's how I am. Um, where am I? Oh, he lies down and rises again. Till the heavens are no more. Till the heavens are no more, he will not awake or be roused out of his sleep. Oh, that you would hide me in Sheol, that you would conceal me until your wrath be past, that you would appoint me a set time and remember me. If a man dies, shall he live again? The answer to that is yes, Job. All the days of my service I would wait till my renewal should come. You would call and I would answer you. Doggone it. You would call and I would answer you. You would long for the work of your hands, for then you would number my steps, and you would not keep watch over my sin. My transgression would be sealed up in a bag, and you would not cover up my iniquity. But the mountain falls and crumbles away, and the rock is removed from its place. The waters wear away the stones. The torrents wash away the soil of the earth, so that you destroy the hope of man. You prevail forever against him, and he passes. You change his countenance and send him away. His sons come to honor, and he does not know it. They are brought low, and he perceives it not. He feels only the pain of his own body. He mourns only for himself. So all of this was Job's case against God, wanting God to basically leave him alone, because he's like, this suffering is completely unnecessary. And he's not accusing God of injustice, but he is accusing God of making him suffer for basically no reason. So he's like, because I'm righteous, just, if you could please just leave me alone and just let me die, because I don't live that long. I'm not used to talking this long. But actually, we got to wind down a bit. Let me see if I can get through chapter 15. Because Eliphaz is going to accuse Job again. Eliphaz the Temanite answered and said, should a wise man answer with windy knowledge and fill his belly with the east wind? So now he's just telling him that his words are wind. He says, you're full of hot air, Job. Should he argue with unprofitable talk, or in words with which he can do no good? But you are doing away with the fear of God and hindering meditation before God. For your iniquity teaches your mouth, and you choose the tongue of the crafty. Your own mouth condemns you, and not I. Your lips testify against you. So now he's like, see, he's accusing Job of not having any fear of God, because again, Job was talking. I don't even think Job was that reckless in that last chapter, but he was talking reckless to him. But he's saying that you're actually not meditating on what's happening to you. You're not taking in the wisdom, basically, of what should be happening. Instead, you're questioning God. You're asking God to respond to you. You're making your case. And that's why I say you're chosen the tongue of the crafty. You're trying to argue with God instead of letting him teach you the lesson he's trying to teach you. Because again, they're convinced that Job did something wrong. And that's what I said, your own mouth condemns you because you won't admit you did anything wrong. You're trying to argue with God. He said, are you the first man who was born? Now they're back to roasting. Are you the first man who was born? Or were you brought forth before the hills? Have you listened in the counsel of God? And do you limit wisdom to yourself? What do you know that we do not know? What do you understand that is not clear to us? Both the gray-haired and the aged are among us. They got tradition on their side. Both the gray-haired and the aged are among us, older than your father. Are the comforts of God too small for you, or the world that deals gently with you? So before that, again, we're back on this critique of wisdom, because these guys are now saying, hey, you're not the first person who were ever born. Yeah, you're an old man, Job, but you're not that old. You think you're so wise, but the wisdom that we have, what we're trying to tell you, we're just as wise as you are. We're just as old as you are. But even the gray-haired, people older than your father, have this same wisdom that we have. And you're trying to tell us that we're wrong. You're standing in the way of generations of wisdom just to prove yourself right. So they're accusing Job of that arrogance. And he's saying, do you limit wisdom to yourself? So we asked him that. Do you limit wisdom to yourself? So like everybody's wrong and you're right. You're the only one who's right, Job. Is that what you're trying to say? And of course he is. But I mean, you almost feel bad for him because it makes sense. Like, okay, everybody's wrong but you, Job. It says, are the comforts of God too small for you, or the word that deals gently with you? Why does your heart carry you away? And why do your eyes flash that you turn your spirit against God and bring such words out of your mouth? What is man that he can be pure? Or he who was born of a woman that he can be righteous? Behold, God puts no trust in his holy ones, and the heavens are not pure in his sight. How much less can one who is abominable and corrupt, a man who drinks injustice like water? So he's just telling him. Well, that's the thing. Job's friends weren't necessarily exactly in the right, but they were there for him. Well, that's the thing. Job says, he says, I'm not going to get to it because I said I was going to end the stream at 8, but he says later on to his friends that basically, like, why can't you, like, if it was me, like, if you guys were in my position, I would comfort you. That's what he says. Like, they're coming at Job because this whole thing started because when they first came to Job, they sat there with him and they mourned with him. And it was like, yeah, they were there for him. But once Job started complaining, that's when they were like, okay, hold up, Job. Now you're doing too much. And that's when they started arguing with him. Because it's like, yeah, we're going to sit here and we're going to mourn with you. But you started talking. And now we have to correct you instead of kind of just letting Job vent, so to speak, which is probably what they should have did. Because it's like Job said at the beginning. How you weren't here for this, but it was like Job said at the beginning. You guys are only doing this because my situation is scaring you, because I have to have done something wrong, because if I didn't do anything wrong, then this could happen to anybody. So you have to convince yourself that I did something wrong. But yeah, where are we at? Oh yeah. I will show you, hear me. And what I have seen, I will declare. What the wise men have told without hiding it from their fathers, to whom the land was given, no stranger passed among them. So here he goes again with the old wisdom. The wicked man writhes in pain all his days. Same old, same old. Wicked man writhes in pain all his days, through all the years that are laid up for the ruthless. Dreadful sounds are in his ears. In prosperity the destroyer will come upon him. He does not believe that he will return out of darkness, and he is marked for the sword. He wanders abroad for bread, saying, where is it? He knows that a day of darkness is ready at his hand. Distress and anguish terrify him. They prevail against him like a king ready for battle, because he has stretched out his hand against God. And he defies the Almighty, running stubbornly against him with a thickly bossed shield. But he has covered his face with his fat and gathered fat upon his waist. He has lived in desolate cities, in houses that none should inhabit, which were ready to become heaps of ruins. He will not be rich, and his wealth will not endure, nor will his possessions spread over the earth. He will not depart from darkness. All this is just the stuff that happens to the wicked. The flame will dry up his shoots, and by the breath of his mouth he will depart. Let him not trust in emptiness, deceiving himself, for emptiness will be his payment. It will be paid in full before his time, and his branch will not be green. He will shake off his unripe grape like the vine, and cast off his blossom like the olive tree. For the company of the godless is barren, and fire consumes the tents of bribery. They conceive trouble and give birth to evil, and their womb prepares deceit. So all of that, this was the wisdom. This was the wisdom of their fathers. That same conventional wisdom they've been talking this entire time. If you're bad, bad things will happen to you. If you're good, good things will happen to you. Oh, here we go. I think this is actually a good place to end it on 16. Because then Job answered and said, I have heard many such things. Like, this is basic. Miserable comforters are you all. Shall windy words have an end? Or what provokes you that you answer? It was like these useless speeches. Are they ever going to end? I could also speak as you do. If you were in my place, I could join words together against you and shake my head at you. I could strengthen you with my mouth, and the solace of my lips would assuage your pain. So he's saying, I could do this too. Like, if you guys were in my position, yeah, I could make all of these arguments as to why you're wrong. I could give you all the apologetics you need if you were in my position. But he's like, I wouldn't do it. I would comfort you if you were in my position instead of trying to argue with you. Because remember, all Job was doing was complaining about his situation, which he had every right to do. It was a bad situation, and he didn't sin. But they just couldn't handle the way he was talking. And he's like, you guys should have comforted me. But instead you want to argue with me because you don't like the way I'm talking. Because you don't like the way I can't say that on stream. But, you know, the line from Snowfall. Anyway. If I speak, my pain is not assuaged. And if I forbear, how much of it leaves me? Surely now God has worn me out. He has made desolate all my company, and he has shriveled me up, which is a witness against me, and my leanness has risen up against me. It testifies to my face. He has torn me in his wrath and hated me. He has gnashed his teeth at me. My adversary sharpens his eyes against me. Men have gaped at me with their mouth. They have struck me insolently on the cheek. They massed themselves together against me. Oh, excuse me. God gives me up to the ungodly and cast me into the hands of the wicked. I was at ease, and he broke me apart. He seized me by the neck and dashed me to pieces. He set me up as his target. His archers surround me. He slashes open my He slashes open my kidneys and does not spare. He pours out my gall on the ground. He breaks me with breach upon breach and runs upon me like a warrior. I have sewed sackcloth upon my skin. That's bad. You know, they put on the sackcloth when they're mourning. He said, I sewed it on my skin. I'm in permanent mourning and have laid my strength in the dust. My face is red with weeping, and on my eyelids is deep darkness, although there is no violence in my hands, and my prayer is pure. O earth, cover not my blood, and let my cry find no resting place. This is great. Because the whole blood crying out thing, remember that comes from Cain, it comes from Abel. That his blood was crying out for what? For vengeance. Why? Because Cain was innocent. So he's saying the same thing. I'm innocent. Not Cain. I keep saying Cain. Abel was innocent. And, O earth, cover not my blood, and let my cry find no resting place. Even now, behold, my witnesses in heaven, and he who testifies for me is on high. It's like, okay. My friends scorn me. My eye pours out tears to God, that he would argue the case of a man with God, as a son of man does with his neighbor. For when a few years have come, I shall go the way from which I shall not return. Last thing before I end the stream. I don't know how anybody can, and I'm not Jewish, obviously. Sorry, Hebrew Israelites, I'm not Jewish. But I don't know how anybody could read this and not see Jesus there. Because he says it, like, I know. We say, even now, behold, my witness is in heaven, and he who testifies for me is on high. Like, that's the mediator. And he said, I guess he doesn't say it here. He probably says it in the next section. That hold on, let me see. He doesn't say it here, but like when he says, I know my Redeemer lives. It's like, come on, Job. But yes, All Job wanted was a little comfort because of what was happening to him, and he couldn't get it. Okay, quick question. Do you guys hear the screaming behind me? Yeah, it's yeah. We love small children. They're not being murdered, I can promise you that, but I probably should get out there before that changes. Um but anyway, yeah, I said I was gonna I try, man. It is what it is though. You can hear it in the background some of my TikTok videos too. But yeah. And we're about to have another one in September. Fun. They're a blessing. They're a blessing. They're a loud blessing. Anyway, well, I said I was going to go for 2 hours, even though as much as I would love to keep reading this, I am starting to lose my voice a little bit. I should have gotten water instead of root beer. But thank you so much. I'm actually kind of excited for a third because I'm going to have another son. I already got a son and a daughter. I'm going to have 2 sons. But anyway, I am going to go ahead and go. Thank y'all for joining me. I'm trying to think. I want to do more Bible studies. I want to actually start streaming more. I'm trying to think of if I should stream on. Thank you. I'm trying to think. I'm definitely going to be streaming every Friday. I want to try to find another day to stream. I want to do it regularly. Joe taught me to empathize before I analyze. No, that's no, the same thing. And I literally learned that as I was studying this because I too can be guilty of sometimes being like, as soon as I see something, it's like, how am I going to rationalize? And that's why I think apologetics can almost be dangerous if you're into it too much, because you see something and you automatically get into rationalization mode. You get into argument mode. And it's like, you can't do that. You got to love first and argue second. And that's the tough part because the arguing is what I'm good at. The empathy, not so much. So that's what I need to work on. Yes, I do. I'm gonna do the whole book of Job. I'm gonna finish Job up. I should be able. I got through so much of it today. I should probably be able to finish it up next time. Either. I don't know when I'm going to stream next. I'm trying to decide that right now. I'm definitely going to be streaming every single Friday, but I'm probably going to stream on Monday too. It depends. I'll figure it out. I'm going to put out cuz I like this. I like this whole streaming thing. It's cool. But yeah, probably Monday. You know what? Screw it. Monday. I'm going to stream at Monday, same time, 6 to 8. That'll get me through. Thing. No problem, Marty McFly. I hope you make it back to the future. But okay. The screaming has stopped, so I'm going to make sure my children are not dead. Hey, what's up? 6 to 8, what time zone? Oh, Eastern time. I don't know what the UK time is. It's 8 o'clock right here, right now. It's 8 o'clock here right now. So it would start 2 hours before whatever time it is where you are. Shouts out to the UK, by the way. I just noticed the flash shirt. Yeah. I was considering wearing something a little more snazzy, but here in Michigan, especially this time of year, the weather never knows what it wants to do. So it's like cold in the morning, then it gets hot, then it gets cold again. And I don't have air conditioning in my house. I just have an air conditioner and it would be way too loud. So I'm like, I'm just going to keep on the t-shirt. You're in Michigan? Oh, you're in Detroit? Yeah, I live in Warren. Really, really close to Detroit. My church is in Detroit. Oh snap! Shouts out to the D. You're referencing. Yeah, I was telling Dinks that I wear the was it Dinks? I was telling somebody that I usually wear this in my my Christian on the internet videos, the atheist wearing the Flash shirt. I also wore it when Dan McClellan lied on me because he was wearing a Marvel shirt. So I had to wear the DC shirt to respond. But anyway. Okay. I have yapped myself to death. I'm going to go ahead and go. But thank you guys. This was fun. I am going to be back Monday at 6 o'clock to finish up Job. Thank you. So I hope you all will be here. Peace, love, and soul.